This man was deported back to the UK after a 15-year prison sentence in Germany and given a whole life tariff order within a year. Hello there, stranger. This is part 47 of the England's Whole Lifers series, so viewer discretion is advised. So today I'm going to be telling you about the case of Marc Chivers, who was born around 1967. I believe he was born and raised in Germany. At around age 19, in 1986, he meets Sabine Rappold and they become a couple. The pair started using substances together, and that would soon escalate into committing crimes together in order to fund their addiction. Chivers would eventually be arrested and convicted for those crimes, robberies, I believe, and he did serve a couple of years in jail. He was released from jail, and then in 1992, he took Sabine's life by manual compression of the neck. He would bury Sabine in a shallow grave in the woods and then go on the run for 3 months before being caught and arrested. In 1993, he was given a life sentence in Stuttgart in Germany. He served around 15 years in the German prison and then was released in 2007 and deported back to the UK. He arrives back in the UK in late 2007 and had no restrictions placed on him. So no probation officer, no meetings to attend, no supervision, nothing. Chivers would meet Maria Stubbings in early January 2008, and she didn't know anything about his past, and the pair began dating. In July 2008, Chivers severely assaulted Maria and was jailed for 4 months for battery. And it was only at that time that Essex police became aware of Chivers' past conviction for taking Sabine Rappold's life. They assessed Maria as being at very high risk. Now, when Chivers was arrested for the assault on Maria in July, he was held in remand, and so by the time he was given his sentence in October, he pleaded guilty to common assault. He was given time served and released. Maria was not informed of his release from prison. And all the time Chivers had been inside, Maria had been given great support by the police. But once he was released, she was left on her own. Well, not entirely on her own. You see, Maria had a teenager at home as well. And so the police knew of the risks. They had assessed Maria as being at very high risk. They knew she had a teenager. She was not aware of Chivers' past, and even still, she tried to get away from him. But Chivers will not accept the breakdown of the relationship. He will not accept that Maria didn't want to be with him. On the 11th of December 2008, Maria Stubbings called 999 to report that Chivers had broken into her home. She asked for a restraining order to be put on Chivers as she couldn't get rid of him. She was told that a police officer would be out to visit her that evening, but nobody came. Just the next day, on the 12th of December, Maria makes another 999 call because Chivers had removed one of her children from school or had been caught trying to do so. Maria really was trying to get help. She was crying out for it. And then on the 16th of December, a report is made that Maria's child does not know where she is. And still it is another 2 days before police visit Maria's home. And when they do visit on the 18th of December and knock on the door, Chivers answers, and he tells the police that Maria has gone away for a few days, even though her car is clearly visible in the driveway. Police did enter the property and had a look around, but they didn't see Maria anywhere, and so they left, only to return the very next day, the 19th of December, and this time they would discover Maria's body under a pile of coats in the downstairs bathroom. Chivers had stolen Maria's life by compressing her neck with a dog lead. She was found with a plastic bag on her head. Chivers was arrested, and on the 13th of December 2009, he was sentenced to a whole life order. It is just unbelievable to me that once he was deported from Germany, he was just allowed back here with absolutely no supervision or restrictions in place. I just could not believe that. An inquest into Essex Police's handling of this case was completed some 5 years later, with the jury stating that the force had failed in almost every step of its investigation. For example, once Chivers had been released from his 4-month prison term, the force had failed to undertake a risk assessment and safety plan. It was also found that frontline police officers had failed to perform basic policing duties. I think one of those basic duties may have been when Maria called police. A young PC was assigned to go to Maria's address, but that PC knew about the previous conviction that Chivers had from Germany and didn't feel safe to visit the home alone. These sorts of failings are, of course, absolutely unforgivable from the police force. I'm just glad that the inquest was made and that the failings were found so that people can be held accountable, but more importantly, that more training can be given and that these cracks can be found and filled in so that there are no more events like this in the future. And Essex Police did take full responsibility for their failings. The Chief Constable at the time, Chief Constable Kavanagh, said, quote, "I am determined to make sure that we never fail a victim again in the same way we failed Maria Stubbings." And I just pray that they have done all of the right things to make sure that they don't fail like that again. Now, in relation to the poor communication between countries when offenders are released and can move around, some things did change, and I'm going to tell you two of them. One is to enable a violent offender order to be made in relation to somebody who has a conviction for M, and that includes a conviction abroad. And two, an EU directive which requires EU member states to notify the UK of foreign convictions of UK nationals at the time of conviction. I'm glad that they recognised that things needed to change and that they have implemented a few of those changes. Maria's children fought very hard for that second inquest to come about the way that it did. I just can't imagine how hard this must have been on them. I'm just so sorry for Maria that she was let down in so many ways. Of course, rest in peace to the victims of this case, Sabine Rappold and Maria Stubbings. And I'm glad that Chivers is never going to see freedom again, but I wish the Germans would have kept him. He was only 19 when he took Sabine's life, and manual compression of the neck or compression of the neck is a very personal way to take someone's life. In most cases, or at least in my experience, in my unprofessional opinion, it means they're going to go and do it again. And yet again, like so many times on this list, he did. And that is the despicable case of Marc Chivers. As always, strangers, if you've stayed with me up until now, then thank you for watching, and I will see you for the next one.